Hi everyone, my name is Cassie. I am your Laurentian librarian for this academic year, and today we're going to be talking about English literature research and you. So let's get started. This is a brief outline of what we'll be talking about today. So we're going to start with starting the research process, how and where. There is a method to the madness. Next, we'll talk about accessing the English Research Guide and the library catalogs. Thirdly, we'll talk about using online databases effectively. I'm going to be teaching you how to do really awesome searches, so you'll be saving time and having to search less. Next, and probably my favorite part of the presentation, is knowing the joy that is RefWorks and Racer. Both of these tools will save you a lot of time and give you access to a lot of amazing tools that maybe you didn't know about before. Next, we'll talk about citation mining, which will also be really handy for you as you continue doing research. And finally, if you have any questions, you can contact me. I'll put up my email, Skype, whatever, my office hours, and you can find me that way. I'm sorry I couldn't be here today, but there were some scheduling conflicts, but I hope this will help you. Okay, so my first tip will be to learn and absorb before you start searching. This is probably one of the #1 issues that I deal with when I help students during my office hours. You come to me with really specific ideas on what you want to write about without being sure if there's actually any research done that would support your idea. So we're going to start with really basic searching in the most general reference resources that we have. So that goes for encyclopedias and handbooks. In the research guide that I'll be showing you, there are a list of English-specific encyclopedias, and those will be really helpful when you're trying to collect your thoughts, learn more about your topic, because that is probably the most important step, are these beginning phases. It'll ultimately save you from having to switch topics or worse. I really encourage you to use encyclopedias and other reference sources first, in addition to books, which I'll talk about also. And that is because journal articles are written with the assumption that you already have an understanding of the topic. So you're not going to get a full rundown of the background information of your topic. So it's hard to build a strong thesis when you don't have a foundation of the topic in general. So you have to start with the most general sources possible. Next, you're going to identify key concepts and keywords for your topic. That's also really important when you're going to start doing your searches for keywords and subjects, which we'll get into a little bit later. You're also going to want to think of synonyms for each of your key concepts, and this will help you find a broader selection of resources, especially when you're just beginning the process. Okay, so our next section will be accessing the English Research Guide and the catalogs. I will talk about Racer briefly, but more in detail later on. I'm not sure if you are aware, but my colleagues and I have written a really great research guide. The URL, which is here, biblio.laurentian.ca/research/guides/English. And here you're going to find all of our English-related databases and reference sources, and pretty much anything else that's going to help you with your research. This guide is incredibly helpful. It really condenses everything you're going to need in one place. So this saves you from having to look up journals or databases alphabetically. So other general library links that will be important will be laurentian.ca/content/library. And that's where you're going to get access to our other services like Racer, like RefWorks, other research guides, all of that stuff. It's all going to be there. I will also throw in at this point that you must have your Laurentian username and password to access our databases. That's really important because otherwise you're going to be blocked from getting to our things, which you absolutely need to do university level research. Next, we have our Laurentian catalog, laurentian.concad.ca, and that's where you're going to find a list of books in physical form that are in Sudbury, but also our collection of ebooks, which will also be really helpful for you. So don't forget to check the Laurentian catalog as well. As of last year, I've started collecting books physically for our collection here in Barrie. So I would encourage you to also check the Georgian College catalog, the URL which is here as well. So some catalog searching tips, because I am a huge proponent that books are one of the most important pieces of your research puzzle. They have a wealth of background information that you can build on, and that's really important. So to begin, you're going to keep it as simple as possible. So 2 or 3 keywords to begin at the most. So for example, if you wanted to write about Frankenstein and nature, as I have, you'll start with a search as simple as that. You'll use the advanced search function so you can search for more terms at the same time. And you can also play around with different functions. So there are options to limit it by language, ebooks only, which is very important for you guys here in Barrie, and books published only after a certain year, especially if a professor prefers to have a timeline of publications. So if you do like a title, you can click on it, but also check to see what subject the library classifies it under, which will be located on the left-hand side. Subject searches will return more relevant results, and I'll show that to you when we talk about Boolean searching. Okay, which was, I guess, right now. So we're going to start searching faster and more efficiently. So what I'm going to teach you now is search theory, and this will carry over to all library databases. You can use these strategies pretty much across the board when you're looking up different databases. So we're going to begin with a keyword search, starting with your most important concept. You'll remember that when we started brainstorming ideas and concepts at our earlier research stage, that's what you're going to start with when you start doing your keyword searches. So keyword searches will cross-search fields, meaning it will look for your word that appears anywhere in a bibliographical record. So this includes cross-searching author, title, publisher, abstract, and subject headings, which are also called descriptors. So as you can see, it's quite handy in the beginning stages, but then we're going to get more advanced so we get more precise results. So now we're going to talk about Boolean searching. Boolean logic is based on an algebraic theory developed by George Boole. It uses operators, and the operators are special words that are and, or, and not, and these connect the search terms for your topic. So using Boolean search techniques, you can put together complex multi-concept searches. Like I mentioned before, you will probably get more precise results and ultimately more useful results when you use these advanced techniques. So first I'm going to talk about and is going to retrieve articles that include all of your linked concepts. So the more terms you link using and, the fewer results that you'll get. So just a general example I've shown you below, I've searched for Virginia Woolf and gender, and 211 results have come from that search, which is quite a bit for you to sift through, although it's not even really that bad sometimes. But in figure 2, if you look, I've added another term. So I've done Virginia Woolf and gender and a room of one zone. So we can see here that has reduced our results to 27, which is far more manageable, especially if you want to write about a specific work. So for your assignment that's coming up, you can do something very similar, just replace Frankenstein or Mary Shelley. When we use OR, we want to broaden or increase our search results. So OR searches for articles in which either term is located along with your other search terms. So you can also use OR to search for synonyms at the same time. So a silly example that I've used is Batman or The Dark Knight, which can be used interchangeably. So when you search terms using OR in between, you must place them between parentheses and in capital letters. So an example here is alcohol or liquor, or university or college, or post-secondary education. So that's exactly how you would put it into the search box. There is an option to use a drop-down menu for OR, but I would recommend this far more than any other method. So here we have some bonus tips to increase your search results. Truncation. This is probably one of my favorite tools to make sure that you're getting as many results as you can. This is especially useful when you're still kind of browsing your possibilities and your options. So truncation will allow the database to search variations of a word at the same time. Most databases, you will use an asterisk at the point where a word might change its meaning. So the example that I've used here is Canada. If you search CANAD, the database will know to search Canada, Canada's, Canadians, Canadian, any kind of variation. Just be careful where you put the asterisk. If you put it too soon, it'll look for too many variations of words that might even be unrelated. The wildcard is also a really interesting tool because databases only look for what you tell it to. So if you search for woman, it will not know to search for women as well. So you would use a question mark where the spelling of a word might change its meaning. So we want to search the variations of spelling at the same time. So woman, if you put it where the E or the A might be, it will search both. Something else that is really important is British versus American spelling. If you search for organization with a Z, there's a possibility that the database might not look for organization spelled with an S. And that's going to cut down on articles that could be actually really helpful. So this is probably one of the more advanced techniques that I'm going to be showing you. If you are confused, please don't hesitate to get in contact with me and I can sit down with you and we can figure it out together. But I just want you to be aware of this for now. So when we search subject headings, we're kind of moving beyond just searching for keywords only. So subject headings are used to describe the essence of an article or a book. Subjects are described using a limited number of words. So this will save you from searching for synonyms all at the same time. If you have a subject, that's how the database will recognize it, no matter what keywords the author might have supplied. So when you use subject headings, it will ultimately mean your search is more precise and returns more relevant results. So an example that I've shown you here is the MLA International Bibliography. So you're going to find subject headings using the thesaurus, which is also sometimes called an index depending on the database. So you can see I've put an arrow exactly where you're going to find the thesaurus. And this is what it's going to look like. I know it's a little bit blurry, but this is what your results page will look like. So the topic that I've entered in is feminism, and it breaks down concepts related to feminism very specifically. So I've highlighted feminist movement, but if you go up a few options, it does say feminist literature, theory, and criticism, and you'll notice like a little sticky note next to it. And if you click on that, it will give you a whole list of related subjects and terms. And if you want to search them all at once, you can just click explode, which sounds a lot cooler than it is, but it does kind of open up maybe different doors or different possibilities that you didn't think of before.